All right, time to talk about this. The Star Wars Prequel Trilogy novelizations. Them there. Obviously the cover is right there. We also do have that stuff telling us about it. For the first time in one stunning volume, here's the complete epic story arc: The Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, and Revenge of the Sith. We'll see how epic it is. I have no problem admitting this. In my opinion, of those three, and I understand why people say that Revenge of the Sith is their favorite. I can understand that. In my opinion, Phantom Menace is not only my favorite, I think it is the best of the prequel trilogy. So it will be interesting to read through that. Okay. Well, this is actually handy because it's actually here. In the original trilogy book, it wasn't as nicely collected as I recall, right? No. Um, The Phantom Menace by Terry Brooks, based on the story and screenplay by George Lucas. Attack of the Clones by R.A. Salvatore, based on the story by George Lucas and screenplay by George Lucas and Jonathan Hales. Then Revenge of the Sith by Matthew Stover, based on the story and screenplay by George Lucas. So that will be somewhat interesting to see. Hang on. Okay, so we've got a timeline of the Del Rey, of various stories actually, not just Del Rey, because it includes some TV shows in there at the back. It's also in the original trilogy one. So okay, let's talk from outside in. It is a large book. Looking at the font and spacing and such, the leading, the margins could be smaller, but the font itself and the leading, so the leading is the actual gap between, because I do remember this. I looked up once. The leading is the space between lines, because you'd actually on old typesetters put in pieces of lead there. Well, the spacing would be controlled by pieces of lead that you put in there, so it's called the leading still, even. But it is also line spacing. You would know it as that. That actually looks very similar to what's in the original trilogy book. I'm just gonna. The font might be a little bigger, but I do mean only a little, and the leading would be a little bit larger by the same degree. So I think it is. The book is so much thicker because they're probably just longer books, which would make some sense because by this point you definitely would have had so many authors who grew up in love with Star Wars that when provided the opportunity to write it would go vast with it and potentially also be able to take more time doing it as well. I I don't know when. I don't remember how often how frequently they released the movies. But I could believe that there was a greater effort to make sure that the novels were ready and to give them plenty of lead time. So yeah. I do like that it is large enough and the weight of the paper is light enough that I will be able to just do that. I'm just like, okay, now with that little bit, it's wanting to close itself a little bit. So it's not, I'm going to have to be constantly holding the book open with one hand. That's going to be nice. The greatest criticism that I have, and nothing against Hayden Christensen. I really hope I'm getting the name right. Nothing against him. I don't like him on the cover. It's just the Star Wars prequel trilogy is about more than, well, I mean, yeah, it is about his character. Yes, it is about Anakin. But it's like, that image is not what I want to associate with the prequel trilogy. I mean, if I pull up the original one, I mean, it's like, this is an AT-AT stepping on Snowspeeder, which is, and you can even see Luke scrambling there. It's like, that's a moment out of the movies that it is iconic, definitely, but it's also a nice portrait. This is like somebody painted this, or at least drew it by hand. This seems more like just, yeah, we took a still from the movie, did some filters on it, and stuck a different background in. It's like, you couldn't do better than that? I mean, even just having it be a shot of Anakin and Obi-Wan fighting at the end, fighting in Attack of the Revenge of the Sith, that could have been done. And the whole struggling there with the lava erupting all around them. Fighting with Maul, you could have. I mean, there's so many different moments that have more to them than just this kind of menacing-ish look. I mean, it's hard to tell because so much of his face is covered. Even that it's like, I mean, I'm not even sure how menacing that really is. let me clarify that. It's more so I don't know how menacing it is if I didn't know what this is. Like, I mean, if you had no idea about Star Wars, if you had never seen the movies, you don't understand, you look at that. What does this tell you? I honestly don't know what this cover tells you. This is an action scene. All right, this tells you, oh wow. I mean, and look at how giant the AT-AT is, and it's probably. I could believe that the perspective here is off. Actually, that it shouldn't be quite like that. But like how massive the foot is against this snow speeder, and somebody is there trying to escape, and it's about to be crushed. You have to fire there. I mean, it's and you've got the well, okay, you've got another AT-AT in the background. I'm trying to figure out if there's anything. I can't quite tell to the jet streams there, the clouds there. But it's like, I mean, this is an action scene, and there is composition here telling you things that's going on. What is that image telling you? There we go. There's a dude in a hood with it might be hard to tell in the image, but he does have the red and yellow contact lens in, and it's like, okay. I guess that's interesting. Why do I want to read this based on the cover? I mean, I know the whole don't judge a book by its cover, but at the same time, the cover is part of the book. Okay, the cover is definitely part of the book. If you don't have a good and interesting, compelling cover, why would somebody read your book versus somebody else's? I mean, it's not like you're just doing a white cover there, basic. No, I mean, it's like, we're not going to worry about a cover at all. It's a story that tells it. It's like, yeah, but no one's going to buy it. No one's going to look at that and be like, oh, that seems interesting. It's like, this needs to capture you. And I don't think it does. So, yeah, I am disappointed by that. Opening it up and looking. Okay, so you've got all that information, which is actually what I also read off from back here. Just looking at the front matter a little bit. Have the copyrights. Okay, so this helps. Phantom Menace copyright 1999, Attack of the Clones 2002, Revenge of the Sith 2005. So you had a 3-year cadence, but still is. I could believe that they did take their time to make sure that the novels were good and could be as expansive as they appear to be here. A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, it starts with here, which is interesting because in the original trilogy novelization that I had there, that only appeared before Return of the Jedi. Oh no, that's okay. It's a little interesting how they compose it, because you got the actual title page for the Phantom Menace here, blank page behind it. That's fine. The dedication to Lisa, Jill, Amanda, and Alex, the kids who grew up with the story, and to Hunter, the first of the next generation. Blank page on the back. That makes sense. Then long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. And by the way, the titles, which that includes, but I'll use this. See how it's the one has a hollow font to it. That is also how a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. It's like, that's fine. You got those 3 lines. When we get to here, you see the header up there where you've got the name of the book, you've got the page number, you also have who the author is. You're like, that's kind of nice to have that aesthetic there. Oh, that's actually interesting. So the Phantom Menace technically starts on page 7. So they're counting. That's actually something I don't do. I don't count the material before that as pages. Well, they're Roman numerals, so it would start at 1. Yeah, so we don't have. I don't think we had a table of contents. I don't necessarily like that. Like telling me where the where Attack the Clones begins. Okay, just jumped to it. It has a prelude, which is a little interesting because they put a lot of it in italics, but then they separate. So okay, that makes some sense. How about, okay. Oh, now that's interesting. Hang on, I have to look at that. Oh, what? Okay, what is going on here? Okay. Hang on, I have to go back a little further. Okay. Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones are both just numbered chapters. Nothing wrong with that. Revenge of the Sith. Okay, that's nice. And a dedication by the author to George Lucas for allowing him to do all this and having created Star Wars in the first place. Uh, then like a prologue here, just well, not a prologue, but an introduction kind of thing. There is also an actual introduction after it, explaining some things, saying some things up, almost like the crawl, the start of the movies. Introduction, the Age of Heroes. So we actually have titles to these, but introduction seems like this. Hmm. Okay, so that is more of the like the actual start of the battle that the movie starts with, but then we get to chapter one. That is like you're already in the movie, so it seems like the introduction is setting that up, which is a little interesting. I'll explain why, because as I recall, the Phantom Menace, chapter one actually starts prior to the events of the movie, but that is chapter one. Yeah. But yeah, chapter one of Revenge of the Sith, though, was actually named Anakin and Obi-Wan. Or at least there is a title there of that. Let me see what chapter two says, if anything. That is a hard to read dinkus. Oh, it also is inconsistent. Huh, that's a typing error. So, and it's also not necessary here. So you see how you have that gap? Oh, well, I guess it is. See how you have the gap there that helps tell you that between this paragraph and this paragraph, some time skipped? You have an image here to help emphasize that. Now, technically, if it is just like over here, then you don't need the marker there. You would put it to help indicate if the page is turning, because a white space doesn't tell you much. But what's interesting is here, it's the 3 lines like up top. They're very faint. I don't like that. But they're evenly spaced. I saw one a few pages prior that they actually weren't evenly spaced. Okay, chapter 2, Dooku. So it looks like for Revenge of the Sith and then The Way of the Sith for chapter 3, they actually do have titles for the chapters. Okay, that's interesting. And then Jedi Trap for chapter 4. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that is interesting. I do find that interesting. Because that is something that is not always necessary. I mean, clearly, this is of all 6. This is the only one that has those titles, and counting the original trilogy chapters as well. So yeah, that I do find interesting. But it must have just been that the author decided to do that. Because remember, I'm not reading this as it was originally published. I'm reading this in this collection here, but they kept some things like that, even though it is an inconsistency. They didn't want to change, because I mean that is substance to the story itself. There's also substance there. So, and also just to help make a point, yeah, that's about the thickness, because we're at page 680 or so. That's about how long the original trilogy is, and it is so much larger in size, just physically, and then we still have that much more to read. So that's kind of neat. Okay. But yeah, so this is also looked like there was a lot more use of italics. What is this? Oh, yeah, I did also notice that there's actually parts as well to this. So I saw that there was part 1, but I was like, what? Yeah, part 3, Apocalypse. So yeah, this is much more complex. What is going on here as well? Okay, and the following is a transcript of an audio recording presented before the Galactic Senate on the afternoon of the first Empire Day. Identities of all speakers verified and confirmed by voice print analysis. Come on. Yeah, and then it indents for quoting and is giving the names. I'm saying that this is a lot more formatting work went into Revenge of the Sith, it seems, than I can't pronounce that word. Than the title for this chapter. There's no way I can pronounce that. It's much more than I saw with the other. So, which, not that you couldn't have done it before, but I could believe the fact that this was done at a time that you absolutely had digital printing and digital typesetting. I could see that being a reason why they would go more into it than in the original, when it would have been more manual. Likely still had some digital stuff there, but it may not have been as well developed. I was like, this is one thing I know with my own books is I've been getting better and advancing how I do certain things. I can do like more italics and such much more easily. There's some other formatting stuff I want to do as well, but that's not relevant for current stories. So yeah. Okay, I've been talking long enough. But yeah, so this is gonna be interesting. I'm gonna have to now run through this and figure some things out for thumbnails. Um, like making sure I have the titles put in there right. Um, I I do kind of wish that the margins were smaller. Don't think you need quite as much here as there is, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Um, yeah, yeah. I am looking forward to getting into the. Hang on, how? Oh, sorry. I saw chapter 3. It's like, wait, that is really far in. No, that was for Attack the Clones. I'm actually kind of curious. Here, let me look at this. Let me look at this quickly. How long some of these chapters are. I'll actually try to see what chapter 2 is. Because in the original trilogy, a lot of them were like only 10 pages. 10 of its pages. Okay. Okay. Alright, it looks like chapter 2 is also about 10 pages long. Chapter 1 is only about 6. I knew chapter 1 is short, because I do actually kind of remember what that is. Which it's, in the movie, you see Anakin's pod racer is damaged and he needs to repair it. Chapter 1 of the book is actually, like, when he crashed it and when it was damaged. That isn't in the movie for reasons that it probably just wasn't felt to be necessary. Okay, so there's... I'm just trying to get a sense of what the average chapter length is. Oh no, it looks like it might also be 10. Chapter 9 is 10 pages as well. Okay. I mean, I was just curious to see. Alright, that's all. Yeah, it does. As I said, my main criticism is just I don't think that's a good cover for it. I don't think that that's engaging. I don't think it's interesting unless you already know the movies. If you know the movies, then yes, you can be like, oh, look, it's Fallen Anakin. Yes, I want to read that. Cool. But if it's a, what is this? Star Wars, the prequel trilogy. All right, so we got a few books here. Let me pull it off the shelf and look. It's like, why is this dude staring at me? Oh, put it back. I mean, it's like I could see it being a coin toss for a lot of people. It's like, what is this supposed to? Why is this supposed to interest me? Or even some people being like, dude's just standing here, staring with one eye, one yellow and red eye, and there's also a layer of perspiration on his face, which whatever. But it's like, so interesting. Put it back. I mean, yeah. Book covers matter. Okay, I get it. Don't judge a book by its cover. I get it. But they still matter. They're part of the book, and I don't think that does a good job of selling the book. See you next time for chapter 1, which I'm not sure when I'm going to put this video out. I'm planning on... I just finished the original trilogy. I'm planning on taking a week off between that and getting started on this. I just don't know if I will put this out in the interim. Put this out... Yeah, I just don't know if I will put this out and then it'll be the week after you'll start seeing the chapters or not. I'm not sure. We'll see. We'll see what I decide on. I probably will do that, actually, so it'll probably be next week then that you'll see it. So that way I do have a video for this week that I'm taking off. Sorry that I'm blathering on and that I don't just have this all planned out perfectly and then just say it all. You just get me as I am. See you next time.